Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice for Radio. So today, we need to take a little bit of a look at Lillie's Pokedoll. Or Clefairy. Really, both of them, ladies and gentlemen. Really, both of them. So we'll start off having a look at Lillie's Pokedoll, though I should mention that our translation here does come from the lovely Joe over at Cerebi.net. He's been helping us out quite a lot lately. And this should look a little bit familiar and also awesome. What you can do is you can play it as a 30 HP colourless Pokemon. Okay, that sounds pretty good. Except when your opponent KOs it, they don't take a prize. And at any time you like, you may put it on the bottom of your deck. You don't discard it. You put it on the bottom of your deck. Though you do discard any cards attached to it, it cannot retreat, and even if it's knocked out, it doesn't give up a prize card. Now that should sound a little bit familiar. It's Robo Substitute. Except, Robo Substitute you discarded from play, which meant that it was far more awkward, because if you had it in the active and you wanted to get it out the active, you couldn't retreat. If you didn't have a switch or something along those lines, you had to discard it from play and then it was gone. Whereas this you put on the bottom of your deck, and that means that you can use it again in the future, in a turn or two, or wherever you draw into it, you can grab it back. And honestly, this goes all the way back to Clefairy Doll in the base set of the Pokemon trading card game, which was a 10 HP trainer that you could play down as a basic Pokemon. Couldn't retreat. If it's knocked out, doesn't count as a basic Pokemon. And at any time before you attack, you may discard it. What that means is, not only is it back, but it's better than it's ever been. Recovering item cards from the discard pile is really awkward, especially now that Puzzle of Time has gone away. It's kind of annoying. Now, don't get me wrong, we got a whole bunch of stuff like Aura and Guru that have attacks that can get this stuff back. But generally speaking, recovering item cards is very difficult. So the fact that you can put it on the bottom of your deck rather than discarding it is actually a huge, huge bonus. And here's the other thing that's amazing about this. We're losing all our best gusting. We are losing Pokemon Catcher. We are losing Counter Catcher. We are losing Guzma. We are losing Lycanroc. What we are going to have after rotation is not necessarily terribly pretty. We're still going to have Custom Catcher, but you've got to play two at the same time. We're still going to have Ninetales, a stage 1 Pokemon that forces you to discard 2 fire energy from your hand. And we're going to have Venusaur and Snivy, which is a great gusting when it's in the active and you attach a grass energy from your hand to it. We haven't got much good gusting. Now, we are going to have Great Catcher, discard 2 cards from your hand, switch your opponent's active with one of their benched EX or GX Pokemon. The problem is, if you're not playing any EXs or GXs, your opponent can't use it. Problem for them, great for you. So if you can play this in a non-GX deck, your opponent may well not be able to gust around it, and that means that they're going to have to keep wasting attacks to try and actually run you out of them before they can start attacking your main Pokemon. This is going to buy you a lot of time. Now, there are going to be some Pokemon that can get round it. The new Naganadel GX, for instance, has an attack for 1 Psychic free colourless energy. Discard 2 energy, do 170 to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. That's going to be fine, because it can just ignore Clefairy Doll and just attack the bench. But most decks post-rotation are not going to have any good way to deal with Lillie's Pokedoll. And that means that you're going to be able to buy yourself turn after turn after turn. If you've got no way to recover them, that's buying you 4 turns. That is taking 4 of your opponent's attacks and just going, ha! That's going to win you games. And of course, hit and run Pokemon are going to love it. So, I mean, there's a whole bunch of them we've got at the moment. I'm not going to go into all of them. We don't have time. But it's all the kind of things like Hitmonchan. 1 fighting energy, 30 damage, switch it with one of your bench Pokemon. So you switch it for a Lillie's Pokedoll. And then if your opponent doesn't KO it, you put it on the bottom of your deck and you can grab it back later. And if they do KO it, yeah, they haven't taken a prize. So there's going to be 4 times that you're using Hit and Run, and it is actually called Hit and Run for Hitmonchan, when your opponent then isn't able to, well, not even just take a KO, but not even have a meaningful attack. And even if your opponent is playing something like Custom Catcher, you can just put the same Pokedoll in the active next turn. Save it for later, so to speak. This is going to really, really help. I mean, back when RoboSub was big, a lot of people, myself very much included, you should know by now of my love for Donphan, were playing it with a Plasma Storm Donphan and just whacking up RoboSub after RoboSub after RoboSub. In the brief period of time between Lysander's trump card coming out and Lysander's trump card being banned, I was playing a deck with 4 Pokemon Catcher, 4 RoboSub, and just rushing through my deck as fast as I could, playing Lysander's trump card, and I had a RoboSub every turn. We don't have, I believe, anything that can really do that at the moment, but it's still a very good card. And this is a point in the video where we need to have a quick switch and talk about Clefairy. Incidentally, Clefairy is one of those new cards that is all full art and beautiful, the CHR cards, and it is actually the box promo for the set. Remember, in Japan, if you buy a box of the set, you get a promo. You can tell it's a box promo because it's stamped with the logo of the set. And this Clefairy is really fun. 3 colorless energy, 60 damage. Put Clefairy and all cards attached to it into your hand, and then play a Lillie's Pokedoll from your hand as your active Pokemon. Now, you've got to have Lillie's Pokedoll in your hand in order to actually pull this off. Okay, fine. But you're basically doing 60 and then chucking something down and going, ha! Now you're not taking a prize. Interestingly enough, Clefairy is one of the few Pokemon that actually does more damage than it has HP. Although, to be fair, right, it's only got 50 HP. The thing is, like 60 damage is fine. 60 damage will get a Ditto Prism Star, and it will also get a whole bunch of evolving Pokemon. So it will get Grubbin and Inkay, for instance, but it won't get Poipole, and it won't go and get stuff like Jirachi. 60's fine, but it's not great. It's fine. The thing is, it's for 3 colorless energy. Now, it's a real shame at this stage that Clefairy is not an evolved Pokemon. And don't take that as read, ladies and gentlemen, because remember, Cleffa is a thing. But unfortunately, even though there is a baby pre-evolution, unfortunately, it doesn't count as an evolved Pokemon. If it did, you could use triple acceleration energy and I'd be in love with it. Because you put it into your hand so the triple acceleration energy would never fall off. So you just hit the 60 with Clefairy, put the Pokedoll up, and then next turn you bench Clefairy, attach triple acceleration energy, put the Pokedoll on the bottom of your deck and just cycle. You're still only doing 60, it's still not quite enough. I know Hitmonchan only does 30, but actually you add in Diancie Prism Star and Martial Arts Dojo and hitting for a really good weakness, and it gets an awful lot better. Not to mention you've also got the Hitmonlee that you can use, and we've got Hitmontop, and they are pretty fun cards that you can combo with Hitmonchan quite nicely. So I think Clefairy is great as a kind of gimmicky Pokemon. In terms of theme, I love it. Lillie swapping her Clefairy for her Clefairy Pokedoll, yes! Yes! Love it! But actually using Clefairy as a viable attacker, I mean, look, I could sit here and start talking to you about stuff like Malamar and Welder, and honestly, yeah, we do have a bunch of ways to pay random colourless attack costs at the moment, but it doesn't really matter, because none of them are good enough to make this Clefairy good enough. Even if you could use triple acceleration energy, and to be 100% clear, you can't, but even if you could, I'm still not a huge fan. Because it just doesn't do enough. But Lillie's Pokedoll, This I absolutely adore. I think this is a phenomenal card. I think this makes hit and run decks way better. I think any deck that really needs to set up can use this to buy itself a couple of turns, and it's actually being brought back in a format with naffle good gusting. I love it. And look, worst case scenario, they'd knock it out and don't take a prize. But if they don't knock it out, you don't have to discard it. You can put it on the bottom of your deck. And it is hard to really overstate how much better that is than discarding it, like you have to do with something like Robo-Sub. Clefairy, it's just not even really worth bothering with. I'm sorry, it's not good. But Lillie's Pokedoll, I'm giving this between 4 and 5 Wassies. We don't give half Wassies. That would be barbaric. It's literally a better Robo-Sub. Now, it is in a format where you can't recover it very easily, but I think that is more than made up for by the fact that it is in a format with no good gusting. I think there are going to be an awful lot of games won using this. I mean, imagine if you win game 1, it goes to game 2, there's only a few turns left, so you just whack out a bunch of Pokedolls. I mean, put it this way, right? If your opponent has 2 prizes left to take, and there's, say, 3 turns remaining in the game, if you just whack down 4 of these and let them take a prize, they can take 3 more KOs without winning the game. Because there is no rule that you have to have an actual Pokemon down as well. You are going to see some fun uses for this, ladies and gentlemen. And I'd like to hear some of them. So please do let me know what you think about this in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassiePlays, where we talk about a whole bunch of games that don't even have Pokemon in, and right now, you can win some of these. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.